This is 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 5. For though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many. Kahala Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak Yahweh Shah, for giving me the spirit and power to do this lesson. All right, what we're going to touch on today, you see the title of the lesson, We Teach Hate, but look at this ish, right? And it's going into this article that I ran across that I want to show everybody. It's crazy as hell that, we're in the days where we see, where Yahweh Shah said that, the prophets and apostles, they desire to see the things that we see, right? And that's the good things and the things, that's hard to look at too. They desire to see it because even though what I'm about to show you is showing the downfall of this kingdom, believe it or not. But I don't want to do too much talking. I want to just get straight into it. So let's go to it. Let me share my screen. 1 second. Y'all tell me what y'all think. So this is what America's doing. This is what America's promoting. All right. So there's an article that popped up on a computer, and it says Christians protest outside of satanic temple. This is the satanic. If you're a conspiracy theorist, then that I want y'all to see. And they're promoting this for kids, right? But here it is. The Hebrew Israelites are a cult, and the Hebrew Israelites teach hate. But this is what they're promoting, behind everybody's backs. Well, it's not even behind anybody's backs no more. It's all in your face. Well, let's read it. It says dozens of protesters reportedly gathered outside a public library, meaning anybody can come to this library and do what these people are doing. It says in Southern California, while the Satanic Temple held a back to school event inside. Back to school, they are teaching elementary kids how to worship Satan. So it says the family-friendly event, a part of the temple's after-school Satan Club, featured arts and crafts along with science experiments, according to local news outlets Fox 11 Los Angeles on Friday. Now, I want to show the video. The video is my biggest point, right? My biggest problem. Now, let's watch the video.
Satan's not an evil guy. He wants you to learn and question why.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they took this down, but Lord willing, you get to see it before they do. See at the top, it says the Satanic Temple After School Satan Club. Now, the song is called Satan is Not a
Satan's not an evil guy. He wants you to learn and question why. He wants you to have fun and be yourself. And by the way, there is no hell. Science is important, so we understand the world. Satan looks for truth. Let's help him, boys and girls. Satan's not an evil guy. He wants you to learn and question why. He wants you to have fun and be yourself. And by the way, there is no hell. Everyone is different, and that's okay with Satan. He'll always treat you equal, whether you're black, white, or gay. Satan's not a scary guy. He wants you to share and to be kind. He wants you to have fun and be yourself. By the way, there is no hell. When all is said and done, Satan doesn't actually exist. He's an imaginary friend who can teach us how to live. Satan's not a scary guy. He wants you to share and to be kind. He wants you to have fun and be yourself. And by the way, there is no hell. Satan's not an evil guy. He wants you to learn and question why. He wants you to have fun and be yourself. And by the way, there is no hell.
Now, we know, for the people that's in the world that don't even know the Bible, there's a saying, Satan's greatest, trick is to convince the world that he doesn't exist. Now, when you go into these different books, the worship of, when you worship Satan, according to the world, according to these Satanists, these atheists, worshiping Satan is worshiping yourself, right? And it's we in 2023. Like, you got to think about it. Who's taking their children to some shit like this? And you got to be real. I mean, we got to be honest. There's a lot of people that's probably attending this, man. That's taking their kids to this place, right? To this library, to this back to school Satan club, man. This is a real thing, right? And it makes you, it makes you just wonder, how far we are at the end. Because this isn't something that's just made up. It was people actually outside protesting, telling them to stop this shit, right? But that's not going to happen. But the thing is, they flag our videos, they take down our pages, they do all of this, but they have no problem about teaching that Satan is not an evil guy. That's what the song is called, right? Satan is not an evil guy, right? And they're trying to get you to be cool with, Satanism, right? They're starting with your children. Like, right, when the LGBT community, there was a video where they said, we're coming for your children. Well, you got to understand, these people are coming for your children too, Satanists. The government is the only ones that can approve these kind of things, right? And I'm just trying to get warmed up because it's crazy. These kind of videos, it's like, damn, they really did this. They really made a video trying to say Satan is not an evil guy or a scary guy. But then here in the Bible, there's, I'm gonna just read this. John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil. Now we know he was talking about the Romans, but the Romans, the heathen period is controlled by Satan, right? And this is the message. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. When you go to Revelations 21:8, it said that all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, right? And when you go into, and I'm gonna come back to this article because I did some research, of course. So when you go down here, you read this is about the Satanic Bible, right? It's on Wikipedia, right? So when you go down here to the themes of God and Satan, right? They trying to make Satan seem like he's just as powerful as God, man, in this world that we live in today, right? He's just as powerful as God, meaning if you join Satan, he could protect you against God. That's what they want you to believe. But here it is, when we read the Bible, Satan does everything the Most High tells him to do, right? And that goes back to Isaiah 45. Let me read this before I read this article. And we know the precept, it's a classic precept. But this is Isaiah 45:7. It says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the Most High God is the one who created Satan and gave him, the mission of causing, chaos in the earth, right? And I got another precept. I thought of so many precepts watching that, and I'm just like, God damn, like they are really promoting Satan. But here it is. They say that the Hebrew Israelites are the bad people. They're trying to catch us up in all kind of, mayhem, like the New Jersey shooting, like the woman that, that killed her husband and her children, right? They try to say the Hebrew Israelites is this, the Hebrew Israelites is that. But then here it is. Satan bluntly tells you, their form of Satan bluntly tells you, like what his objective is. If you read this, he tells you what his objective is. Right. And it's the worship of self. And we know this. We know according to the Bible, when you read Romans chapter 8, when you read Romans chapter 8 and 6, it says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because a carnal mind is simply, let's just get it right quick. Carnal mind is somebody that just whatever they think, they do it. That's a carnal mind. That's a fleshly mind. That's a mortal mind. It says operating from their flesh and not from the spirit. If someone is carnally minded, it means they are operating from their flesh. The flesh is selfish, rebellious, and prideful. Therefore, a carnal person struggles with impure thoughts, believing God's promise and sin. So that's just Google. Right? We can get deeper and deeper, and it actually shows Romans chapter 8, and 1 Corinthians chapter 2, right? Dealing with the carnal mind. But the carnal mind is simply operating from the flesh, right? And it says in the Bible, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, because the carnal mind is enmity. Enmity is hatred against God. For it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So Satan, we know Satan's commandment, and I got it pulled up right here. His commandment is do what thou wilt. That's the satanic mandate. I mean, that's what's mandatory when you want to be a Satanist. Meaning this is what, right here. And we look at this, yeah, it looks all like it's just some kids, and you probably get a laugh out of it. But the older they get, these are the things right here is what they're going to be teaching them as they get older, right? Which they already are, but they want you to accept it, right? Like, for instance, Esau is just now coming out with genetically modified meat, laboratory meat, beef and chicken. But we know damn well he been already feeding this to us. But now he's getting you used to actually, like, it's at the forefront now. Like, okay, we're coming out with this genetically modified meat. We're going to start putting it in stores. No, nigga, you've been doing it. You're just trying to program the people's mind to accept it, right? Now they don't have to hide it anymore. Now they can tweak it up and do other things with it. This is what they're doing with the satanic thing, right? So it says God and Satan, right? And I'm going to get this precept too. But it says God and Satan. It says the Satanic Bible often uses the term God and Satan interchangeably. So when you read in this Bible, and this helps us understand when the world says God, God loves me no matter what, we're all sinners. And even in this sort of Satanic Bible, they teach you to be a sinner, right? And I'm going to show you. I mean, these people are blindly following Satan. Some people, they want to follow Satan, even though they're still doing it blindly. But some people are blindly following Satan. And that's why I'm doing this lesson, so you can get the understanding. Straight up, man. This is what this is about, edification. Right? And Lord willing, you get edified. But it says the Satanic Bible often uses the term God and Satan interchangeably. Right? That's why I brought out 1 Corinthians 8 and 5, where Paul said, there be gods many and lords many. You can say the Lord all you want, but which Lord are you talking about? You can say God all you want, but what God is you talking about? What God is they talking about on the back of this dollar bill right here? Let me pull it up just for edification. Because you got to ask yourself, look what it says right here. It says, Slovakia. It's not pulling up the whole thing. Let's see. It's doing me like that, huh? Let's just do this. Okay, that's cool. It says, in God we trust. In God we trust. But here it is. You have annuit septis, right? And this is Latin. All of this is Latin, right? Novus Order Seclorum means New World Order, right? And these are Roman numbers also, but it's on a pyramid. So you got to ask yourself, what God are you talking about here? What God are you talking about if you're talking about Novus Order Seclorum, which is New World Order, right? What does this New World Order consist of, right? And I post these kind of things on my on the community guidelines on my page, and I'm gonna read this real quick. What it says, just real quick. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna show you what in a New World Order when it says Novus Order Seclorum right there. This is one of the guidelines that they're speaking about. And this is right here. And this is in the New World Order book, right? Let me show you. Let me pull it up. Matter of fact. People are blindly following Satan already. You know, they just have no idea about it. That's why we do these lessons, to try to edify and help. Now, this is the book right here. It's by Ralph Epperson. It's called New World Order, right? It's called New World Order. And this is actually the page that I had right here, that I posted on my page. You're not gonna be able to see it. Let me see. I won't let you zoom in. So I'm gonna just read it. So I'm gonna just read it. It says the New World Order will include changes in. Now, this ain't something that's new. This is something they've been doing. You know, they've been doing ever since you've seen the dollar bill with the word, Novus Ordo Seclorum on it, right? Which is New World Order. It says the New World Order will include changes in the family. Homosexual marriages will be legalized. That happened already. It says parents will not be allowed to raise their children. The state will. Meaning this is them taking away. You cannot whoop your children anymore. This is them taking away at 8 years old. The child can determine their own gender. This is what all this consists of. You can't raise your own child. That the state will raise your child. The state will tell your child if they want to get a sex change, they can do that. And in the UK, the parents have to pay for it, or they can go to jail for it. All right. This is what's going on. This stuff is already happening. Right. It says all women will be employed by the state and not allowed to be homemakers. You understand that? That's why all these women are on Section 8 and housing. They're not allowed to be homemakers, but home breakers. Right. For instance, and I always go over this, the woman, when she's on Section 8 of housing, the man cannot be in the house, man. That's a fact. Then the brother always got to hide his stuff, right? He always got to hide his stuff when they come in and do their inspection, or he got to take his stuff and, take it to his mama's house until they do the inspection, because the man is not allowed to be in the house. This is a part of the New World Order, right? This is a part of the Willie Lynch also, right? This is how you break the nigger woman, and the man and the children are going to follow. Right? Because the woman is the one who makes the home. That's a fact. We all know this. She makes the home, right? The Bible supports that in Proverbs chapter 31, right? So it says also, divorce will become exceedingly easy. You understand that? Straight up divorce. I mean, come on now. We know this is a fact. Especially, we can see this, through the celebrity world. I'm talking about as soon as they get rich, the woman will marry the man, no prenup, hey, and she'll divorce him like it's nothing. Jeff Bezos' wife divorced him, right? It's so many of these celebrities. Jeff Bezos' wife divorced him. Who else? There's so many people, I can't even think. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about, who I'm talking about. So many celebrities, women divorced their husband and took half of their money. I believe Steve Harvey's wife, she divorced him, and she about to take half of his money. Straight up, man. So it says, and monogamous marriage will be slowly phased out. Meaning, not just talking about just polygamy, but there will be a lot of side chicks, a lot of mistresses coming into play. Right? Because at home, either one or the other is complaining, the man or the woman is complaining how boring the relationship is. So it'd be easily phased out, where there's multiple lovers, multiple diseases. Right? Because they out here just popping. I mean, the men are popping other men and then coming home and sleeping with their wives. It's all kind of women are sleeping with other men, coming home and giving that to their husband. Right? Nothing is done in order. Right? We're not saying polygamy is a sin, because if it's not poly, it's folly. But there's a rank and order that you have to abide by according to the scriptures. And this is totally against this New World Order. It says, the workplace, the government will become the owner of all the factors of production. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. right? And that's why you see all of these banks closing down, all of these restaurants closing down. Yeah, you even got car dealerships that's closing down now. All these places are closing down because they want them to be private owned. They're foreclosing them. They're raising the property tax to where these owners can't afford it anymore. They already did it with the farms. They was paying these farmers to destroy their crops and to destroy their equipment to help them produce more crops, fruits, vegetations, and all of that, man, and meat. That's a fact, man. There's videos on this. This is no game, bro. This is how far they are in the New World Order. I mean, what else do they need to do? Right? Now they're introducing it to like, hey, this is what we've been doing the whole time. Satan's not an evil guy. It says, the government will become the owner of all the factors of production. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. And it says religion will be outlawed and believers will be either eliminated or imprisoned. You understand that? This is the part we yet to see, right? And if you watch, don't get me wrong, this is a low budget ass movie right here. But I've actually seen this movie. It's a low budget ass movie, but it's on point. You know, it's a whole bunch of Edomites, but this movie is on point. That's a fact. And you don't even have to pay for it. You can go watch it on YouTube. It's called New World Order. It's a low budget movie, but it's facts. It's a factual movie for sure. Right? So it says religion will be outlawed and believers will be eliminated or imprisoned. There will be a new religion. And this is the whole point of it, of Satan. It says the worship of man in his mind. All will believe in the new religion. You understand that? The worship of man in his mind, whatever is in your mind, that's what they want you to believe. That's what they want you to worship, meaning they want you to worship yourself. And this is the same thing they're promoting to these kids, these children. Right? That's why they're telling you they're not discriminating. They want all nationalities to come and join this. And the ones that don't, they will be outcast. Right? So let's go back to this. Right? It says God and Satan. The Satanic Bible often uses the term God and Satan interchangeably, except when referring to the concepts of these as viewed by other religions. LaVey also occasionally uses the term God to refer to other religions' views of God and Satan, or synonym to refer to the idea of God as interpreted by LaVey, Satanism, and his name is Anton LaVey. Right? And I don't know if you know, but there's a saying, I haven't seen the video or anything, but they said it was a woman that was with him. It was one woman that was with him on his deathbed. And she said, as he was dying, she said he went into a little frenzy. And he said his eyes got very big right before he was about to die. And he said, what have I done? That's just speculation. That's just a rumor. But I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened because, I mean, this man you would think he's Satan himself because he actually created the Satanic Bible. But it says, as when he writes, when all religious faith and lies has waned, it is because man has become closer to himself and farther from God. It says closer to the devil. Throughout the Satanic Bible, the LaVeyan Satanist view of God is described as the Satanist true self. You see that? Just like we read in this New World Order book, it says there will be a new religion, the worship of man in his mind. All will believe in this new religion. Bro, trust me when I say these people are worshiping Christianity. That is Satanism. You're worshiping Satan and you don't even know it. They're telling you the law is done away with, meaning there's no morals. Do whatever you want. That's why you heard terms like, I'm gonna eat this good old pork. I don't give a damn what you say. That's why you have videos of little Boosie saying, I'm gonna eat this pork, and he flipped the bird to the sky like he was flipping off the Most High. They're worshiping Satan blindly. And once again, that's why we do these lessons, right? Whether they hear or whether they forbear. So it says, a projection of their own personality, not an external deity. Satan is used as a representation of personal liberty and individualism, right? That YOLO life. So you can see the correlation. You can see how, they worship Satan by, because what does it tell? What did Peter tell us? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get Paul first, and then I'm gonna get what Peter said. What he's saying, Galatians chapter 5. So this is Galatians chapter 5 and 1. He says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Hamashiach hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." Now, Christians, they will say, see, we're free. We can do whatever we want. We don't have to follow the old covenant or the old law. And they have no understanding of this. And the scripture says that a lot of people are going to die without understanding. Some of these videos, they're tedious. Some you don't want to just sit there and watch them read it, but this is very decent information that will help you. And we're talking about the long run. Straight up, man. Because look, it says, bro, this is key right here. I mean, if you don't think this is key, that's crazy. It says Satan is used as a representation of personal liberty and individualism. Do as thou wilt. Do what you want to do. So I'm going to read it. It says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Hamashiach hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." It says, "Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Hamashiach shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law." Right? Because there was men going around saying that if you don't get circumcised, that you can't be saved. After the manner of Moses, you can't be saved. It says, verse 4, "Hamashiach is become of no effect unto you. Whosoever of you are justified by the law, ye are fallen from grace." Right? And we're not sitting here saying that we're justified by the law. Like I always say, the law does not save you, but the law can keep you from being saved. We are saved from our faith, right? And our faith will, by our works, we're going to perform the law. We're going to perform alms. We're going to perform charity, right? And this is the total opposite of this, right? This right here, what we're looking at, the God and Satan, this thing right here, this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. Straight up, I've written all over it, man. Right? And this is also, let me pull this up. This is Romans chapter 6 and 12. Matter of fact, I'm going to keep reading on this and I'm going to show you about the sin. Let me see if this is the one where he talks about sin. Because it talks about glorifying sin on her. So I'm going to keep reading. It says, "Satan is also used as a metaphor for the ideas connected with the early Christian view of Satan or the serpent. Wise, defiant, questioning, and free thinking." Right? So this is why it said in a video, you will hear him say in the video these kind of things like, Satan's not a evil guy. He wants you to question why. Because this is what they teach you. They teach you Satanism, right? It says LaVey discusses this extensively in the book of Lucifer, explaining that the gods worshipped by other religions are also projections of man's true self. So basically, he's to comfort the people. He's telling them, bruh, they worship themselves too. They just hide behind another religion or another god. When that's not facts, that's not true. But only an ignorant person is going to believe that, right? They saying like they're doing what we doing. They're just too afraid to say. It says he argues that man's unwillingness to accept his own ego, and we know what happens when you start ego tripping, right? All of us has been down that path with no morals, nothing to keep us in line or in check. And even if something, the Most High did keep us in line and check, we didn't understand it. But now that we understand it, our lives are better. We have a life of peace, right, with the Lord. But it says, except his own ego has caused him to externalize these gods so as to avoid the feeling of narcissism. That would accompany self-worship. This is what he's teaching. And this is one of the scriptures that he posted. I mean, that he have in his book. Yeah, this is, so I'm not gonna read that because I'm not gonna lie to you. I really don't understand what he was saying. I kind of understand it. He's basically telling you to worship yourself. But I'll read it anyway. It says, if man insists on externalizing his true self in the form of God, then why fear his true self in fearing God? Right? Because if this is the part that I did understand, and it goes back to Galatians chapter 1, because this is what Paul said that he did, and which is what we're supposed to do. How do we glorify God? We glorify God by changing, right? We this wicked ass person, right? Stealing, killing, we was robbing people, we gang bang, we hated our brother and our sister, right? We was prostituting and pimping our women, right? That's who we was in the world. But when we, when the Most High, opened our eyes, opened our mind up, and he taught us his laws, statutes, commandments, right? Taught us who we was, we changed from that. That's how we glorify God. Because nothing else could change us. No, especially me, I was a prideful, arrogant ass nigga, right? Straight up. So it has to be God that changed me. So that's how we glorify God. So if you read Galatians chapter 1 and 23, I'm gonna just get the point. It says, but they had heard only that he which persecuted us in time past, which is Paul, now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed, and they glorified God in me. But if you read the Inner Satanic Bible, it goes completely against that. Now, the video that they're showing, this video that they're showing right here, this is for children. But as these children get older and older, these are the things that they're going to be teaching them. Straight up. It's levels to it, right? Like me with my children. I'm not about to go and teach my children with the what is the Revelation? The horseman is, right? The black horse, the red horse, the white horse, the pale horse. Why would I go and teach my children that? I'm going to teach my children what the Lord's name is. I'm going to teach my children the 10 commandments starting off, right? I'm going to teach my children, those basic things like the Lord told us to. Like in Exodus 12, he tell you to teach your children about the Passover, right? And it should be from generation to generation. This is what I'm going to teach my children, right? Basic things. So what they're doing with this video right here, and I'm going to take my time. They're teaching their children the basics of Satan. This is the basics of Satan right here. Straight up. But as my children get older, I can teach them a little bit more deeper things. And this is how they feel also. As their children get older, they're going to teach them deeper things like this. So I'm going to read it one more time. If man insists on externalizing his self in the form of God, then why fear his true self in fearing God? So why would you fear God if everything is done through you? How is he a God then? That's what he's saying. Why praise his true self in praising God? Why remain externalized from God in order to exchange in ritual and religion ceremony in his name? Right? Man needs ritual and dogma, but no law states that an externalized God is necessary in order to engage in ritual and ceremony performed in a God's name. Could it be that when he closes the gap between himself and his God, he sees the demon of pride creeping forth, that very embodiment of Lucifer appearing in his midst? Right? Like I said, there's certain things I understand, there's certain things that, you just got to go deeper into, man. Now, I really don't have the compassion, or I don't want to. Right, straight up. I just want to get the basics so I can know to stay away from this shit, like on the real. And this is why I'm bringing it out, so you can see it and stay away from this shit, right? So another thing I noticed too was, as I was skimming through this article or this Wikipedia, is the prologue, and these are all the things Satan wants you. What represents Satan, right? And it was two that I found, and I was like, of course, right? Right. But before I get that, I want to go back to Galatians chapter 5 because I found the scripture I was looking for. So Galatians chapter 5 and 13, it says, "For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty." It says, and Aharon taught the camp, he taught us something, Officer Aharon, he taught us something very interesting. And he said, liberty, when he's dealing with liberty can be, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because I'm going to go start with the bad thing. So liberty being a bad thing is people do whatever they want and there's no consequences because we're under grace, right? But the good thing is we're able to, the ones who do want to worship the Most High, they're able to worship him. And that's why it tells you in verse 1, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Hamashiach hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage, right? So you wasn't free to do whatever you want to do. Christ freed you to do whatever Yahweh wanted you to do. And that's a fact. So when we drop down to 13, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. Straight up. And for all, in verse 14, for all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So to get more understanding on loving your neighbor as you love yourself and what love is according to the Bible is totally against what the satanic temple believe, satanic church. And these are the people that say that they worship God. But now we're getting the understanding that they're talking about another God. So if you don't come out of this place, this is not no gray area type thing that we're dealing with. It's either right or wrong. It's either you stand up for the Lord or you stand up for this society by not saying anything, right? You just as bad as a person, man. Just leave them alone, man. They're not harming anybody. That's you. So it says, now we're going to get the love part, because in Galatians 5 and 14, for all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So this is Romans. He gave them a little bit more information, a little bit more detail, a little bit more edification. So Romans 11 and 9, it says, well, I'm going to start at 8. Owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. Covet is very important. It says, and if there be any other commandment, meaning I'm not about to sit here and say every commandment. You know what the commandments are, 613. If there be any other, the other ones I'm speaking about is what Paul is saying. It is briefly comprehended in this saying, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So he's telling the brothers, the church at Rome, right? The same thing he's telling them at the church at Galatia. Paul always said the same thing. Now, he might have said it a little different, but he said it the same thing. Just like when we go out there to the highways and byways, we saying the same thing. We just saying it in different ways, right? Straight up. Repetition, that's what it's about. So, going back to this, it says the prologue. It says the prologue to the Satanic Bible begins by discussing the concept of gods, good and evil, and human nature. It includes the 9 satanic statements. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. So this is right here is what I found interesting, because this goes against what Yahushua said. Yahushua said turn the other cheek, right? Meaning when Yahushua said turn the other cheek is simply don't go seeking revenge. But Satan says, and that's why it says Satan represents vengeance. Vengeance is revenge, right? You getting them back, you punishing somebody back. When it says in Hebrews 11 or Hebrews 10, it says vengeance belongs to the Lord, right? But this is what they teaching their children, to simply go against the creator of the heaven and earth. And this is why they have to get belt to ass by the Most High. So if you won't, raise your children up in the Most High's ways, the Most High gonna put belt to ass, man. And that goes for the adults too. He's gonna put belt to ass. So it says Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Stupid. It says Satan represents man as just another animal. So this is where we get the understanding of this. When they played this video, we see why they're showing animals in the video, right? You see, because Satan looks at humans as animals, right? See, that's why you have Satan as an animal, the Baphomet as an animal. He's looking at humans as animals, right? And they want you to accept it also, that you're nothing. You're just nothing, right? You're just nothing, man. So going back, it says Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all. Satan is. It says Satan represents all of the so-called sins. You see that? Satan represents all of the sins. That's why you have this term that was created by a woman named Thelma, right? But I'm going to show this first. Thelma. Thelma is the one who came up with do as thou wilt. That's her thing. Do as thou wilt. Do what you want to do. This is the woman right here. This is Aleister Crowley, right? But that's what it's called, Thelma, right? It's a cult. It says a cult social created by Aleister Crowley. Satanist. He's a Satanist, man. But the reason why I was down here is because it was something I wanted to show. So these are the holidays that they want you to celebrate, right? And one of the holidays is that I wanted to point out, before I get off of this for good, is the winter solstice. So the winter solstice is where it get dark at like 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock, yes, sir. So the winter solstice also goes into Christmas. If you don't know, I've done a lesson on this, and it's probably about a year ago I did a lesson on this. You can actually go Google it. The winter solstice Christmas is all about the winter solstice. It's all about the winter solstice. Christmas is. And you can go look that up for yourself, and that's a fact, man. I'm not just speaking because I got lips. So Christmas, it goes back to Satanism too, right? And another thing that I seen too is right here. It says the feast for life, celebrated at the birth of a Thelemite and on birthdays. You understand that? So when you celebrate birthdays, you are keeping one of the commands of Satanism. Because nowhere in the Bible, I'm going to get it for you. In fact, I'm actually pull it up. In the Bible, Job made a sacrifice when his children celebrated their birthday. He made a sacrifice for them because he understood that they didn't know that they was in sin. Why was they in sin? Was they in sin because they actually celebrated their birthday? They was in sin because they they worshiped themselves on that day. That's what it was about. Let me find it. Give me 1 second. Or will I tell you, don't take too long. It might be the NLT. Let's see if this is the NIV. Yep, NIV. So this is Job chapter 1 and verse 4. And scholars and historians, they understood this. It says, in the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil, right? Which we just read that Satan is a representation of all sins, which is evil, right? And the scripture says, he that keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. So you got to choose which side of the fence you want to be on. Your time is running out, man. It says he had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys. He was a rich man, basically, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the east. So the land of Uz is in Edom. This is the point. His sons used to hold feast in their homes on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Now we know when it says 3 sisters probably had husbands and they had children, and they all, it was just a family. Some, like how a birthday party goes today, right? What it say in Ecclesiastes 1:9? It says that there's no new thing under the sun. I was just showing in the chat earlier, and I posted on my page also, that they had dice in Rome. They had dice in Jerusalem. And I'm talking about real dice, square shape with the numbers from 1 to 6. They was rolling dice back then too, man. So it says his sons used to hold feasts in their homes on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run in its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular custom. Why? Because birthdays is idolatry. It's a day of self-worship. You know how many people commit adultery because they feel like they can do whatever they want on their birthday? You know how many people, adultery, you go to distance when it's your birthday. You go to distance. And that's what we just read right here, the feast for life. When you was given life, every year you celebrate. Look how these people turn up on their birthday. Well, this is a satanic holiday. It says the feast for life, and we clearly see in Job that he made a sacrifice for them, a sacrifice, right? Because he thought he knew they was in sin because of what they was doing. So the feast for life celebrated at the birth of a Thelemite on birthdays. Now I'm going to actually show you Satanism and birthdays. And this is the Satanic Bible, page 96. Where is 96? Right here. Page 96. If you didn't know, it says the highest of all holidays in a satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. This is a direct contradiction to the holy of holy days of other religions, which defy a particular God who has been created in an anthropomorphic form of their own image. You understand that? It's all about you on that day. And you would do whatever you want because that's your day, and you feel like it's you're going to celebrate this day to the fullest because it's a whole nother year before you can do this again. It says thereby showing that the ego is not really buried. You see that? The Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you are going to create a God in your image, why not create that God as yourself? When the Most High said that he created us in his image. But here it is, they're making the promotion of, no, you create God in your image. You see that? It says every man is a God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So this is what they was teaching in their churches. And this is what they're going to teach these children at these public libraries and these satanic schools. Come on now. We know eventually if they're telling a child, an 8-year-old, that he can determine his gender. That was Biden signed that policy, that executive order, his first 30 days in office, that an 8-year-old can determine his gender. It wasn't how everybody is in debt. It wasn't how people need pay raises, inflation, homeless people. It wasn't none of that. His first 30 days in the office, he signed a bill that 8-year-olds can determine their gender. What the fuck? It's like, wait, what? But that's what he did. So let's keep going. It says, It says, the Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. After all, aren't you happier about the fact that you were born than you are about the birth of someone you have never even met? Right? Talking about God. Or for that matter, aside from religious holidays, why pay higher tribute to the birthday of a president or to a date in history than we do in a date in history goes back to a high holy day, right? Like Passover. We keep Passover the same time every year. Tabernacles, same time every year, right? It says to a date in history than we do to the day we were brought into the greatest of all worlds. After one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays are Walpurgisnacht and Halloween. You see that? I wonder what Walpurgisnacht is. It's probably going to go to something simple like, this is why we are commanded to stay away from all of these holidays, man. It says, it is interesting that birthdays are considered one of the three most important holidays to these Satan worshipers. The two others called Walpurgisnacht and Halloween also have pagan ties and are observed by millions who claim to be Christian. The Bible never encourages the celebration of birthdays. Instead, it tends to speak in a negative manner concerning them. In this Matthew 14, this is about a king. On his birthday, he asked a woman whatever she wanted, he was give her. And she asked for John the Baptist's head. And guess what? She got John the Baptist's head. Straight up, man. And if you are Israelite, you need to understand this, man. Because Edomite historians and scholars understand this, man. That's a fact. Straight up, man. So going back to, I want to show this too, because this is what they're pushing in Hollywood. Like this nigga right here, Jay-Z. They had Jay-Z wearing it. Look at his hoodie. Do what thou wilt. The satanic mandate. You know what a mandate is? I mean, it's something you have to do if you want to worship Satan. Right? It's like a mask mandate. You have to wear a mask. So if you want to worship Satan, you have to, do what you want to do. And look at the world. What are they doing? Blindly, but what are they doing? What are they doing? I mean, ask yourself that. It's people that look up to Jay-Z and Beyonce, but this is what they promote. Do what they want, do what you want to do. All right, so look, check this out. This is what Anton LaVey said. This is what one of the things he wrote. And he must, as a Satanist, knowing this, realizing what his human potential is, eventually, and this is the same shit that the serpent came and plugged into Eve's mind in her heart. It says, and he must, as a Satanist, knowing this, realizing what his human potential is eventually, and here is one of the essential points of Satanism, attain his own Godhead in accordance with his own potential. Therefore, each man, each woman is a god or goddess in Satanism. Ain't that what men call women nowadays? That's a goddess right there. That's a queen, right? And she a straight whore. But in their mind, they're gods. That's why when we go out and teach, they say, man, you the God. I'm a God. We children of God. What God are you talking about? Because if, we know who we worship, right? We know who we worship. That's what Yahushua said. Let me get that right quick. So this is John. I think it's John chapter 4. So John chapter 4 and 22. It says, ye worship, ye know not what. This is what Yahushua was telling them. Y'all don't even know who y'all worship. He says, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. So you got to know who you worshiping in these last days, man. The only way to defeat an enemy is you have to know what his strategy is. And that's why we do these lessons. right? Even if it's just a little bit, I bet you're going to learn something today. You're going to learn something, even if it's just a little bit to take with you. Even if it's just about the birthdays, even if it's going to Job and showing that birthdays, that he made sacrifices for his children for celebrating birthdays. Whatever it is, even if it's Satanists believe, do what thou wilt, right? Straight up, man. So let me continue. I got one more section I want to show, and I believe it's the book of Lucifer. Yeah. So right here is the second paragraph I wanted to bring out. It says, LaVey rejects the idea of prayer, instead urging Satan. And this is, like I said, once again, this is what they're going to teach those little children, right? But here it is. The Hebrew Israelites are teaching hate. The Hebrew Israelites is a cult. We the cult. But they're allowed to teach this. Nobody says nothing. Jake don't have a problem with this. Esau don't have a problem with this. None of the rest of the nations have a problem with this. They don't speak out against this. But here it is. We teach hate. You have a couple. Let me say that. You have a couple that speak out against this. But on a major scale, they don't have a problem with this. Straight up. It'll die down. Right? But the scripture says that, Yahushua said that, people are going to turn on the Hebrew Israelites. People are going to come after the Hebrew Israelites. It doesn't say that about people that don't believe in the Bible, right? Or people that believe in Satanism. They're not going to come after them. They're going to come after the people that believe in Yahweh wa Yahushua. So it says, LaVey rejects the idea of prayer, instead urging Satanists to take action to fix a situation instead of asking for a solution. So instead of praying, you should fix your own problems, right? And that's where the people is led to. I've been in that situation where I'm like, man, why don't you just pray? Pray and just have patience and wait. And they'll get an attitude with you. It's like, that's your best option. But no, they they want you to give them the money. They want you to help them fix the situation. When it's like, this is not how this works. You're in a situation that only God can help you. When I say God, I mean Yahweh. It says the 7 deadly sins are advocated, right? On the basis that they all lead to personal pleasure, right? Like it tells you in 1 Timothy 5:6, a woman that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth, right? And that goes for the man too. That's not just the woman. We just read to be carnally minded is death. It says, he says that Satanism is a form of controlled selfishness, right? In the sense that doing something to help another will in turn make one happy, meaning yourself. This is why people are selfish, right? And the scriptures talk about this. Let me get it right quick. Lovers of self, remember? That's what Yahushua said. And that's what Paul said in Peter. Right? So this is 2 Peter 2 and 3. I'm gonna start at 1. This know also that in the last days, which we are living in, we're living in the last of the last days, perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, and all of these things they're going to get put to death for. That's a fact. It says, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, which we are reading about right now. They think, the world think, like, man, just leave them alone. They doing what they do. Just leave them alone. Worry about you. Focus on yourself. That's not what the Bible promotes. The Bible says you are in sin if you don't rebuke and correct your people. Right? But it says also, verse 4, traitors, heady. And you should look up these words like heady or incontinent. It says traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures. You see that? Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Right? And that's why he said right here, on the basis that they all lead to personal pleasure. Right? And it said, make one happy, which is yourself. It says, verse 5, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Now, these are the people that I say that ignorantly worship Satan. Ignorant means you don't know. You don't know what's going on. That's what ignorant means. The definition of ignorance means you don't know. You wist it not. Right? So that's why it says having a form of godliness, because they'll tell you they believe in God, right? They'll tell you they believe in Jesus Christ, but they don't do nothing he tells them to do. In fact, they do what Satan tells them to do. And that's what we're reading, right? These parents are so high-minded that they are taking their children to a public library or a public satanic club and allowing their children to be brainwashed, mind controlled into thinking that Satan is not an evil guy. Satan is not a scary guy. There is no hell, which, we living in hell, but the lake of fire. They're not. They have no idea, man. Let me keep going. It says the golden rule is again mentioned, and LaVey suggests altering it from, now this is crazy, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you, to do unto others as they do unto you. So he's actually teaching. Anton LaVey is literally teaching against Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Anton LaVey is teaching against Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Because what did Yahweh Shah say? He says, do unto others as you will want them to do unto you. Anton LaVey said, no, do unto others as they do unto you. He says, so that if someone is treated like, and this is, the world does this, especially Jake. If you sleep with another man's wife, guess what? He's going to sleep with your wife. That's just how that goes, right? This is street code. It says, do unto others as they do unto you, so that if someone is treated poorly, he or she can respond viciously. This is what the Satanic Bible is teaching, the world. And this is what the world, I mean, come on, bro. We don't even have to use the term Satanic Bible. We can just correlate how the people of the world today in 2023, about to be 2024, this is what they do off top. In general, this is what they do. But we're here to show that they're actually following a satanic belief unknowingly. It says the book of Lucifer also contains a list of the 4 crown princes of hell: Satan, Lucifer, Belial, and Leviathan. Right? It says, and of 77 infernal names, it says represents of Satan from various cultures and religions. They are the names that, according to LaVey, are most useful in satanic rituals. I believe this is. Yeah. I want to read this. So this is going to be all I'm going to read. This is the last of all I'm going to read right here. So it says, the book of Lucifer contains a long chapter titled Satanic Sex, discussing Satanism's view on sexual activity as well as misconceptions surrounding these views. He denies the belief that sex is the most important element in LaVeyan Satanism, and that participant in orgies or other promiscuous behavior is forced, right? Which we know that's a lie. They do this all the time. We see this with celebrities. They be running through people, women like Rihanna, Beyonce, they run through these women, and then they set them up to be a husband, as a couple, a power couple, so that they can brainwash the rest of the people. And this is where we get right here. Who is he married to? He's married to Beyonce. That was a setup. Everybody know that was a setup. That's a setup couple to grab the married couples to thinking that they can be like this. But this nigga worships Satan. Look, he got the black shades on. Do as thou will. He probably did a couple of rituals before he did the interview. This is what they do, man. All right, and I'll show you how real this is with the rituals, man. It's not no image. This is a video to show you. If you don't know who A$AP Rocky is, now you're going to know today. Satanic symbols. So like I said, so it went from, this satanic club right here with the video, they showing you little cartoons, these are for the elementary, about to be going into middle school. We can say that. But then you got the middle school kids going into high school. These is the people that they're going to watch. That these people are already, Satanism already got a hold of these celebrities, and these are the ones that's going to take over after, your children, grow up a little bit from, middle school to high school, right? Because remember, we read, so I'll give 1 second. We read where it said that in the New World Order book, it said that, where it said, it said homosexual marriages will be legalized. Parents will not be allowed to raise their children. The state will. Where is it? Yeah, I think that's it. It says parents will not be allowed to raise their children. The state will, right? And the state and the federal, all of this goes into, the government and what the government allows and doesn't allow. And the government allows this. Why do you think it's on YouTube? This is 2013. I mean, they flag our videos and take our videos down all the time. Why isn't this video taken down? It's because this is a promotion. You see that? This man is standing in the middle of a pentagram. That's cocaine. They use cocaine to make a pentagram. That's the same pentagram. You see, he's making the pentagram himself while he's doing the video. They reading their rituals on how to perform their rituals. Right? And he got a song called Praise the Lord. But what Lord he's talking about? Because Paul said there be God's many and Lord's many. Right? And this is the same pentagram that you see right here that A$AP Rocky just was creating with his own hands. Same pentagram, which goes back to the Satanic Bible. So there's levels to it. Elementary, we just watched the video, Satan's not a good guy. You got the middle school all the way to high school, where you got celebrities. They take over from there. Straight up, this is all real, man. This is all real. Right? Where was I at? Shaking this room. Let's get back to it before I close out. So when we go back down here to he's right here. I'm gonna start right here. And that participation in orgies or other promiscuous behavior is forced. He explained that sexual freedom is encouraged, but only in the sense. You see that? Only in the sense. And there are so many celebrities that spoke out that we actually seen worship Satan, that spoke out and said that it's not freedom. They force these women to have sex with these producers, the people that you don't see behind the cameras, the people that's actually funding these videos and these record label companies. These are the people you don't see. These are the people that's actually running through these men and women. I'm like, seriously. It says, but only in the sense that believers should be free to explore their own sexualities. Look at this. Look what they show, man. Human sexuality activity, human sexual practice, or human sexual behavior. It says, they please without harming others, along with the rumors regarding satanic views on sex. LaVey also addresses those about animal and human sacrifice. You see that? He explains that the only time a LaVeyan Satanist would perform a human sacrifice would be to accomplish two goals. To release the magician's wrath. You see that? To release the magician's wrath. So a lot of these people be getting put to death is to release the magician's wrath, right? It says, as he or she performed a curse, right? Probably something they went against the grain. They went against something they wasn't supposed to do. I mean, they did something they weren't supposed to do, which they would title that a curse. It says, and to kill someone who deserves to die, somebody that went against the grain. That's why you see a lot of these celebrities end up dead, right? And they dying in dumbass ways, man. Dumb ways, man. It says, he considers the action of hurting another person a request to be destroyed, and explains that the Satanist is morally required to grant this request in the form of a curse. LaVey also says that a Satanist would never sacrifice a baby or an animal, as they are pure carnal beings and considered to be sacred. In the book of Lucifer, LaVey outlines LaVeyan Satanism views on death. He explains that one who has lived a full life with dread death, and that this is the way it should be. He also does not agree with the idea of reincarnation, which is regeneration. He encourages a strong will to live, comparing it to animals' instincts to fight viciously for their lives. So it says he encourages a strong will to live, comparing it to animals' instincts to fight viciously for their lives. So they like when you fight for your life. It says suicide is discouraged except in cases of enthusiasm, which is when you're suffering. It says is the practice of intentionally ending life to eliminate pain and suffering. Right? So if you feel like you're pain and suffering, you're allowed to take your own life, which is against the Bible. Where it would end extreme suffering, because the Satanist is considered their own God. You see that? And this is why you see, now you can pay attention. When we're doing videos, we're doing lessons, and we're talking to people, you will understand when they say, well, we are gods. We are our own God. So this is the decredit of the Most High God in making themselves God. And the Egyptians did this. That's why the scripture says we run to Egypt. We always run to Egypt. Even Esau ran to Egypt. That's why when you look on your phone and you got all those emojis, and we speak to each other through emojis, right? You speak to each other through emojis. You might have a certain face that you make, the person that you send it to will understand that. Well, that's what they did on the walls. Those on the hieroglyphics, those are emojis. That's how they spoke to each other, right? It says because the Satanist is considered their own God, birthdays, here we go again, birthdays are celebrated as the most important holidays. Following one's birthday in importance are Walpurgisnacht, and we already seen this. So it tells us what Walpurgisnacht is, also known as Saint Walpurgis Eve, is the eve of the Christmas feast of Saint Walpurga. I don't know what the hell that's going into. It says, and Halloween solstices, which is the summer solstice and the winter solstice, it says in equinoxes, it says are also celebrated. So they celebrate this stuff. They celebrate Christmas, man. Christmas is the winter solstice. Halloween is here. The world celebrate Halloween on a daily basis. Man, one of the elders at my job, Jake, he already bought Halloween stuff. He was just explaining that to me. He already bought it. And he told me he didn't even know why he was celebrating, because he said he usually don't. So it's like, damn, why are you celebrating it then? They don't even understand what they following. They know not what they do. That's why Yahweh Shah said that on the cross. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Right? Straight up, man. That is what we dealing with, man. So I got to show you these last two precepts to give the full understanding that the way that they worship Satan and they want Satan to be, that's not how Satan is. We go over with Satan, how Satan operates all the time, right? Now, is Satan helping them on the left-hand side? Yeah, he's helping them. But the Most High God is allowing it. You got to understand, there's going to be a time where the Most High pulls Satan back, and they're going to be casting up all these enchantments and these rituals, and they're going to be casting up all kind of rituals, trying to sacrifice more and more people. That's what be happening at these concerts when a whole bunch of people die. When you have all these different events happening, a whole bunch of people die. These are sacrifices, right? that they're doing in one, a time period soon, Satan is not going to answer them anymore, and they have to fetch for themselves. And why am I saying that? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 47, because this is actually a scripture. So this is Isaiah 47:12. This is what he told Esau. He says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. So now, let's see what an enchantment is. It says an enchantment. An enchantment, the act or art of enchanting, the quality or state of being enchanted, as the newness of the projects wore off, however, their enchantment with the apartment faded. Something that enchants, a magic spell, right? And we just read that in this spells. They use magic spells. Where was it at? It might have been in the other section. It might have been in the other section about them using magic spells. Can't find it. But they spoke about them using magic spells, man. But we know Satan has used magic spells, so we know they do. So that's what an enchantment is, a magic spell. We had enchantments, and we also had in Isaiah 47, he said, stand now with thine enchantments, thy magic spells, and with the multitude of thy sorceries. Now let's see what a sorcery is. Sorceries, the use of power gained from the assistance or control of evil spirits, especially for divining, necromancy, magic sense. See, it says black magic, witchcraft, enchantment, spells, medicine, voodoo, right? The Most High is telling them, he says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. And I'll give you an example of enchantments and sorcery. Enchantment and sorcery, Esau used this on a low level, and we see it happen every day. You'll be watching the show. Let's say you and your wife, y'all just ate. You just ate dinner, y'all just cooked dinner. And a Taco Bell, you'd be watching a movie and a Taco Bell commercial popped up. All of a sudden, it looks so good. You see the cheese dripping off the quesadilla, right? Or you see the nacho platter, or you might see the new grande double cheese, bean cheese burrito, and you hungry again. Now you done hopped out of the bed and drove all the way to Taco Bell or Taco Bueno and went and got the new beefy cheese grande. That is an enchantment and sorcery that they performed on you. That's what that is. So it says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. Meaning, ever since they had acknowledgement of, ever since they had acknowledgement of how to use witchcraft, sorcery, voodoo, and all that, right? They've been performing and they've been practicing it. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail, is what the Lord is saying. Use this same magic and witchcraft you've been using since you came into the acknowledgement of how to use it and what to do with it, right? And they learned this, their youth. It's talking about when they was in Egypt. They got all this from Egypt. Egypt is big on this, right? When the Most High was talking to Moses and Aaron, and he was telling them to do certain things, the Egyptians was trying to counteract it with magic, with magic and enchantments and sorcery. They was trying to, go against it. They was trying to make it stop, right? And they even have movies on that. But it says, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. right? Let now the astrologers and stargazers, the monthly prognosticators, stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. So the Lord said, all that stuff that you're doing, you should use that for what I'm about to bring upon you, right? And when the Lord brings it upon the world, this is when the world is going to snap out of those enchantments and sorceries. And this is when they're going to know what they did and why they did it. And they're going to understand it is time to die. It says, behold, they shall be as stubble. See, the fire shall burn them, but it's going to be too late when they realize it. It says, they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants, even the other nations that you did exports and imports with. From thy youth they shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee. They're going to leave America and watch America burn from afar off. And that's Revelation chapter 18. Alas, alas, for that great city. Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. This is what the other nations are going to say. Right? So now that I got that, I want to show you how, I'm going to show you two precepts to show you that Satan, and if Satan has angels under him on the left-hand side, which we're pretty sure he does, how they are in command to the Most High God. They are not out doing whatever they want to, because like I said, the world paints this picture like Satan can protect you from God if you want to go worship Satan. Like if you wanted to go do whatever you want to do, Satan will protect you if God want to punish you for it. This is what Satan is believed, right? And they under the disguise of you are your God. So 2 Ezra chapter 8 and 21, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, right? We cannot comprehend his glory, even though we can only break down a little bit of what the Lord have revealed to us. Like for instance, the Most High God is in control of everything. But here it is, he created Satan to do his thing. He created Satan to be head over the Edomites and to, put his spirit on them to cause all kind of destruction on the earth, right? But here it is, the Most High is still going to destroy the Edomites. Here it is, the Most High still hates the Edomites. Here it is, the Most High is going to pull Satan back eventually and allow the Edomites to cry unto Satan. They're going to be trying to cry unto Satan, and Satan is not going to answer them, right? But we only understand a little bit of this, right? So it says, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling. And yes, Satan is included. Like in Job, when it says, when the sons of God appear before the Most High God, which was the angels, it says Satan came also. Satan is a son of God. Straight up. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says, and this is the understanding that they don't have. There's nowhere in the Bible where it said the Most High, that Satan rebelled against God and was like, hell no, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to go gather people and I'm going to gather them to myself and you ain't going to touch them. Nah, when you read the book of Job, Satan asked the Most High if he could hinder Job. He asked him. So this is James chapter 2. James chapter 2 and right here, 19. It says, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. You see that? So even the devils, starting with Hashatan, they believe and they tremble at the appearance of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. And yes, Yahweh Shai also. Because if you read in Colossians chapter 1 and you start at 15, it's talking about Yahweh Shai. I'm going to start at 13. It says, who have delivered us from the power of darkness. Like I said, this is Colossians chapter 1. Colossians 1 and 13. Who have delivered us from the power of darkness and have translated us into the kingdom of his dear son. So it's talking about Yahweh Shai Mashiach, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. Yahweh Shai Mashiach. And then it says, who is the image of the invincible God, the firstborn of every creature. So Yahweh created Yahweh Shai before he created anything else. It says, for by him were all things created. So Yahweh created Yahweh Shai before he created everything else. and Yahweh Shah created everything else. Let me say it again because that sounded kind of weird. Yahweh created Yahweh Shah, and Yahweh Shah created everything else. Simple. And it's going to tell you. It says, for him by were all things created that are in heaven, so the angels, and that are in earth, the humans, the animals, visible and invisible. So Satan too, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, Satan is a power. All things were created by him and for him. You understand that? So Yahweh Shah created everything except Yahweh. Yahweh created Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Shah created everything else, including Satan. That's why I said visible and invisible. Straight up, man. So, Khan, man, that's all I got for that lesson, man. Lord willing, you was edified. Like I said, even if it's just a little bit, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.